Grade school can be an exciting time for children as they begin new adventures, but middle school and high school can be challenging when it comes to navigating friendships as children evolve and change.
So we asked our mid-morning pediatrician, Dr. Gigi Chawla from Children's Minnesota, to share a little advice. I love this topic because as a parent, you feel like you have no control over, you can try to raise your child, but you can't raise your children's friends.
Right. Well, you can have some influence, right? Especially if you're open to having those friends at your home.
Sure.
And they can see, you know, how your values and structure and things like that. But you're right. You can't really control your child's choice in friendships per se, or your child's friends.
Can you teach your kids to pick good friends? Is that something that you can do as a parent?
Yeah, I think the first strategy really is helping your child be really confident in who they are, have them really live your values, and be engaged in dialogue about what's important in a friend so that they are naturally going to take that next step themselves at choosing what's right for them.
That is very interesting, which goes into the question of how do you teach your son or daughter to be a good friend?
Yeah, it's all about emotional intelligence. I mean, I think that's true for adults too, but helping your kid to develop some emotional intelligence about understanding what their actions, how it impacts others, reflecting some of those emotions back. I see that you're sad about me, you know, choosing this instead of you or whatever. But developing that emotional intelligence really early on is important.
And that's just working with your kids to identify their feelings and feelings of other people.
Calling out emotions, especially, you know, just when you're with your own child, calling out how your child's choices or actions make you feel, so that you name that emotion, let them name their emotion back, and then be able to engage in the next dialogue about how do we resolve some of that.
I think a lot of us really made most of our friends from extracurriculars, whether it's sports or theater or math club.
Yes.
How important is it to encourage your kids to find whatever the right extracurricular is for them?
Right, and don't be afraid to try things on for kids. I mean, as parents, you really have to be their best champion and chauffeur about helping explore all the options. But it is critical, actually, to develop a network of friends that help keep them resilient, you know, so that in one area, if things aren't going well in school, they've got friends in other areas that allow them to remain successful and to stay motivated.
If things like that do happen, I imagine it's very, very difficult as a parent to watch your kid go through conflict with someone else. How do you teach conflict management when they're that young?
Yeah, you know, I think, again, it's really starting very early on with emotional intelligence about now how do we together figure out what our next steps are. You're hurt, I'm hurt. What, you know, can we put this aside and make another choice together to really, you know, step aside from something.
Parents are important, teachers are important, but that friend network is a huge determinant of what your child's going to become.
Absolutely, and it's protective against their health, protective against depression as they're older, against you know, choices that you really don't want them to make.
Really good tips.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dr. Gigi.